back to my channel that I've not been on in a long time. Hello friends! How about this? Hello friends, thank you for your patience. It's been a little while, but we're back. Today we're gonna be doing a spring seasonal elevated centerpiece. And I'm really excited to share this with you. So let's get started. This is a Lomey dish. This is great for most elevated centerpieces. Today we are going to be doing oasis. We do have to use oasis every once in a while. Most of our events are out of town, so it does make traveling with flowers a lot easier. I have another vase that I sometimes use that's a little deeper, and we just stick some chicken wire in there and tape the top if we don't want to use oasis. Maybe 10 minutes before you start your piece, put 2 or 3 bricks of oasis into some warm water. And you want to make sure that it's fully soaked all the way through, just to ensure that your flowers will not be dried out. Okay, it's a little messy. I always put the words down and have yourself a nice knife, not one that you would use to cut bread or anything else in the kitchen, because you probably don't want to be ingesting oasis foam on a regular basis. This one looks like, I'm gonna cut it in half. So that is what you do not want. You want it completely dark because you can see that area is dry. So I'm gonna stick this back in. When you're soaking this too, you don't wanna push it down in the water. You need to let it organically take up the water that it's going to take up. So you've got your large brick in the middle. I think this stuff is pretty well soaked. I'm sure that there's a more beautiful way to do this, but I'm just gonna do it the way I normally do it. So it looks like we're probably gonna need 3 bricks. You're gonna wanna just be careful that you're cutting this the right way, and you'll learn as you do it. It's a learning process like everything else. So then I'm gonna take that brick and I'm gonna push that down here. Take another side. Push that down over here. I'm just shaving a little bit off. Kind of doing a diagonal. So we're just shaving off the edges here, giving ourselves some room. If you're a little bit maybe OCD like I am, you can even do that, but it's really not necessary. Okay, so we're getting there. This clearly didn't get completely soaked. I'm gonna go ahead and do it with this because I know that I'm gonna water this right away when it's done. And this is also just a tutorial, but you wanna make sure your oasis is completely wet. It's always a good idea to keep your workspace clean. For our events, I'm kind of the overkill queen, just because I am thinking a lot about transportation of flowers and making sure that everything gets there safely. So I would take a piece of the chicken wire, cut it to kind of fit that Lomey dish, tuck it in a little bit. I'm not going to do that today because we're not traveling. Just to show you, I can give you the same effect here. But if we were doing a real event, I would do that and then I would tape that in. If I'm not using it, I would still tape it in because you don't want this traveling. So you're just doing one wrap around in the middle, one wrap around in the middle, here, crisscross applesauce. Boom. Well, really quickly, I'd like to talk about where this is going to be sitting. So when we are done, this is going to be sitting atop this bespoke vase. This is an accent decor vase. I love it. It's beautiful. And you know, your guests are going to be sitting underneath. So pretty much when we're done with this piece, you won't be able to see what's going on inside and underneath. There are other ways that you can deal with that. You can glue moss to the bottom. You could do some leaves, some stems, some maybe salal, and kind of bury that in underneath. Another option too is to actually paint the bottom of these, to spray paint. Like if gold is your color, you could just spray paint the bottom of these Lomey dishes gold and even use clear tape. Personally, I don't think people are gonna be staring at it and being critical of it. If they are, you probably shouldn't be at your wedding. I'm gonna say it. Go home. If you're gonna be critical of my centerpieces, go home. Oh, by the way, this tape is a waterproof oasis tape. I prefer the thin just because you want more real estate for your stems to go through. If you're using the thicker tape, you're taking up a little bit extra space where you could put a stem. So I'm gonna start out with my pieces that kind of It's like my armature, they're my structure. They speak what direction this arrangement is going to go. So I'm gonna start with a tall piece. We're gonna be using Forsythia today, all of which was foraged. If you have access to Forsythia and your wedding is in March, this is very economical and very beautiful. I think you have to like the color yellow too. So I'm kind of getting my swoop going here. My swoop-de-doop. You can go really tall if you want. I mean, we've got nothing to lose. Let's go tall. So I'm going with this really tall piece. It's out of the frame, but I want this to be really dramatic. This vase is really dramatic. It's very large, and I want to make sure that I am doing the correct scale to fit this beautiful accent decor bespoke vase. I'm switching out this base to this base because this is more similar to the vase that it's actually going to sit in when we're all done, and I want to make sure I'm getting the weep. I really like this shape here, and then kind of a downward play over here. You want it to feel really gardeny, natural, because that's kind of how Forsythia grows. It's kind of like all over the place, right? So we're gonna make it all over the place, but beautiful. Bustling, but structured. Wabi-sabi. I love wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi, it's like my favorite design. It's the ephemerality of everything, and it's embracing the imperfection, which is something that I've had to work on for a long time, and probably will till the day I die. So I'm bringing a mirror over so that I can view the front of this centerpiece from your perspective, so that I don't have to get up and walk around the table and get in the way. Not every stem is going to be standing up. This is kind of a common mistake when people are first learning flowers is, well, everything has to be standing up straight. But actually, you want it kind of drooping down. You want that little droop. I think that I'm going to disappear very shortly. So I'm trying to kind of leave the center a little bit open. I like to do this when I arrange. I think it adds a little bit of interest, and it allows your eye to kind of travel through the arrangement. If everything is all the same dimension, then it's kind of boring. You want things to be kind of tucked in and peeking out. Oh my gosh.
It's really fun.
This Pookie is looking fire. Look at this Pookie. It's so Pookie. Bruh, come on. Come on, bruh.
What else you got, Caroline?
I got nothing. So right now, I've got my structure. I've got my basic form here. Now I'm just filling in. If I had moss covering the oasis, we could stop now and keep it a little more minimalist. Because I don't, I'm going to be putting smaller stems, kind of tucking them in to cover the mechanics, because that is really important. You don't want to see the mechanic. You don't want to be sitting at the guest table looking at giant pockets of oasis. That's not very appealing. I just moved this to the side a little bit so that you guys can see that it's actually me still here. Just filling in the gaps now. I may add a couple more pieces once I sit it on top of the vase. It's good to go ahead and pick. I'm gonna guess that this arrangement is going to use about 5 buckets of Forsythia. So go ahead, pre-pick it, let it sit in the water for a couple hours before you do the piece. Okay, I'm gonna pull out the vase that this is going to sit on top of, because I wanna make sure I'm filling in all the holes. You know, it's probably good in this day and age too. Now that I say this, I'm gonna take a minute to think that there might be a drone shot. Don't leave the middle open. That's all I'm gonna say. The drone shots, because everybody views everything from every angle all the time now. So you gotta make sure your junk is covered, okay? Probably shouldn't have said that either. Oh, it's gonna be gorgeous. You can just feel it. I'm actually gonna come around to the other side because I wanna make sure that it looks good, and I also wanna see maybe where my holes are. So I'm gonna kind of finish it from your side. When you get to the end, kind of tucking these facing up a little bit. Actually, I do see a big hole there. So we're gonna put that there. But you kind of have to also think about like this particular stem. It's got a nice curve to it. I feel like that one really wants to go right there. We love a good curve. Yes. Another thing to consider too, if you're just doing this for fun, great. If you're not worried about people sitting at the table, that's fine. But you also have to consider where people's faces are. As pretty as that is, I don't think they want to be poked in the eye the entire time during dinner. So you can just snip that off and tuck that in there. You can edit, you can always edit. Kind of want another piece up here. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Oh, I think we're getting there. That's really big. This would be beautiful on a bar, like a bar arrangement. Then you wouldn't have to worry so much about editing the lower pieces, but just the size of it and the scale. A couple more little spots to fill in. Oh, I love it. I love the seasonality of flowers. It's just amazing. There was a time that I didn't like Forsythia. You can unsubscribe right now. I'm a convert, because how could you not? Come on. What do you think?
Sorry. So.
Let the arrangement speak for itself. That is a wrap on our elevated seasonal centerpiece tutorial today. Thank you all so much for watching. To stay up to date on new videos and new tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you again. Mwah.